Welcome Home Radio Podcast. Are you looking to buy or sell your home? Our team is here with answers to guide you through the buying and selling process. We encourage you to ask questions. Please comment on this show or visit us at welcomehomeradio.net for more information. Bringing real estate, lending, and education together in one place, and to help you make the right home decision for you and your family.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio, where real estate lending and learning come together. It is April 29th. So excited about our show today, Clickbait. It's going to be hosted by our wonderful Tom Holmes. He's got this all situated for us, but it is amazing what clicking out there does to your phone, computer, laptop, iPad, all the information trying to be thrown at you. What are we actually seeing and what is true or false? So, Tom, take it away.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It's great to be here with my esteemed partners, Jeff and Blair. And talking about clickbait became a topic that we discussed a month ago or so, and said, what is the effect this is having on our market in the DFW area, in the Texas area, in the United States. And of course, when you get, and we just be clear, because some people may be of a generation, they may not have heard the term clickbait. We're talking about, myself included, of course.
Very possible, very possible.
But the reality of our phones and our information that comes to us through social media and everything else, what is that information based off of? Well, it's based off of typically some type of information where somebody's getting that across and they're trying to get you to read more. So the more intricate that information is, the more inviting that information is, the more you want to read more and be longer on that website or longer on that social media website, or doing more exploration with regards to the time you're spending on your electronic devices. And that's the ultimate goal of any company that is giving you information. They want you to stay there, whether that information is true or not.
So you mean people will use sensationalism to make you stay on their website and view it longer?
Well, I'm actually watching a documentary right now that involves our famous Australian gentleman that loves to create news and news channels, not just be part as far as providing news to the public, but to be the news himself. And the Murdoch family has been that way for now a huge piece of my lifetime, over half my lifetime. And the actual documentary goes back to the 60s when he first got in the business of buying papers. And so anything sensational that we can come up with, as far as Jeff's question just now, the more sensational it is, the more you will tend to stay with that and listen more and say. The thing about the media is that it's now driven in a fashion that makes you have to choose a side. Oh, that's true, or that's BS, or nobody's heard of that, or everybody's heard of that. Where have you lived in a cave? And of course, that goes back to my first houses that I lived in back when we did paintings on the walls, and people would buy the cave after us and say, well, we want to change this out, and we don't want all that information about you chasing down buffaloes on our walls anymore. But the reality,
the dirt.
Well, we got rid of the dirt floors eventually. We covered them with stone off the wall. It was very convenient. But I thought in my conversation today, what I would do is kind of go to a couple of things that are factually based information and get our kick on what people are otherwise hearing in the marketplace. In other words, a clickbait piece that may be something different than what somebody else has been hearing. So factually speaking, I want to take an example, a couple of things from Texas here. And right now we're in a declining market of sorts. And statistically, I think every realtor will agree with, we've seen declines in pricing. We've seen more concessions by sellers willing to do things in order to sell their house. It varies greatly from 6 years ago, the 2020 period, 2021 period, where people were lined up and there were 40 offers for a house at $100,000, $200,000 above asking price. So one of the clickbait questions that I commonly ran across, what makes the market different from the 2008 housing crash? And I can speak to this because, of course, I was about to say I caused the 2008 housing crash, but
Probably.
I probably, that would be another clickbait you can find somewhere. But I lived through that crash and have seen in my lifetime, 3 crashes of major consequence and a total of 6 out there that have existed. One happens typically about every 10 years. So that kind of gives you a feel for how old I am. 42, by the way. The answer correct answer to that question is 42. I knew what you were headed for. I saw that face on each one of you. Oh, well, Tom, don't set us up for this one. But the question, what makes this market different from the 2008 housing crash? Well, factually speaking, only about 42 of the 300 major metropolitan areas have experienced price declines. So oftentimes what media does, or what, again, informational sources try to do, is say, oh, whoa, this is so bad over here. It must be the same for everybody. Well, 42 out of 300 markets actually works out to be around 12 to 15% roughly, somewhere in that range. And as a result of that, you've got to think that, okay, this isn't happening to everybody. Where is it happening? So it talks more about, with most markets dropping, being minimal. They also talk about the fact that if you take the example Houston, which is in one of those 42 markets, that the year over year drop has been 0.2%. Now, 0.2% is not a huge decline for just about, unless you're part of the 0.2%, is not a huge decline in market share. But it also represents the natural cooling of a rapid appreciation. And the systematic collapse that was characterized in 2008, there were more than 250 markets out of the 300 major markets that had dropped at that time. So just that piece of information itself, what I feel like is that one of the things that drives clickbait is fear and misinformation or disinformation. And there's a difference there. Misinformation being something that has been found to direct you in a direction that can be found as truthful in parts, but not wholly truthful. And the disinformation is where you're lying to people.
Can you give our audience an example or two?
I've got one for you.
Please, fire away.
For example, there's one that you'll see on the headlines. You got to be careful what the headlines are, or even the sub, but it's, you won't believe what happens next. Yeah, they're getting you to stay on their website longer, just as you said already and talked about, Tom. That's what statements like that are doing. Or if you're seeing any kind of these short videos and things and says, do you believe this person was right in making this decision? They do not care what you think. All they're doing is getting you to click and extend your time on there. And here's the thing I think that's really important about clickbaits and what's happening all the time. somebody said once, oh, well, I didn't give any of my personal information. I didn't put my credit card on there. I didn't do, well, guess what? They're not necessarily always wanting you to do that. Sometimes keep in mind right now in our industry, for example, we've talked about wire fraud. They may have your email for a year sometime, and all they're doing is kind of watching and seeing what you're doing. And anytime they see then you might be spending money or doing something, then they're taking that opportunity to jump in and try to pull a fraud or a scam. So it's not necessarily, well, I didn't give them my credit card number. That does not matter. I think that's one of the biggest thing of, and another you mentioned, as I jumped off there, but deal ends tonight. Only a few spots left. Those are the ones that always, we've talked about that emotional. What grabs you? Oh, there's only a few spots left. I want to get in on that. Simple trick will change your life forever. Those are some of the ones I was finding.
I literally just pulled this up. 20 states with laws that allow squatters to claim your property.
Oh God!
I think I saw that.
Really? It's right. I mean, boom. Just was looking. Just said, I'll see what's out here.
It probably wouldn't have anything to say about adverse possession and any of the laws that are really laws in the states that are complicated and hard to allow. Just about every state will allow adverse possession because of real estate in the United States is based that way.
Well, that is not the primary goal of clickbait. It is using headlines to create the curiosity that didn't give you any real information.
Nothing. I
mean, it gave you nothing.
Oh, here's another one. There's another one. Top Gun 3 with Tom Cruise and Miles Teller.
Oh, right. Okay.
Now, I do want to admit, while I'm talking about things, and I did some research and reading, I'm not going to say I'm perfect. There's been an occasional, corporate. I'm a part of a national company. I've gotten an email that I clicked on, and they went, "Boom! You got to retake your phishing training because you just clicked on a bad email." So, while I can talk about it, I've also learned from experience. I will be honest with that.
I love it.
But it's really bad. It wasn't just last week. A broker friend of mine, and his father is starting to deal with dementia, but his mom called him on the phone saying, "You've got to get him off the phone. He's given them our personal information." And they finally were able, they only lost $18 because while they were on the phone with him, they started drafting money, and they pulled off one of the, hey, your account with, I don't want to say a bank name, that's not fair, but XYZ Bank has been compromised. We need to move your funds into this account to protect it and save it while we shut this down. And their email will have a number. It'll come by email or something, and they have the phone numbers. They have the things that make you go, wow, okay, this is real. But any of our banks tell us all the time, we're not going to call you like that. We're not going to shoot you an email asking you for that info. So, but those are the things that's it's just easy to fall into. They're good. Let's put it that way.
That again is amazing.
These crooks know what they're doing.
My 94-year-old mother-in-law this last week ran into the same circumstance, and they knew that she banks with a certain bank, whether it's Bank of America or Fidelity or Chase or Wells or whatever it is. They knew that, and that's the kind of monitoring they're doing to figure out how do we get you back into these scams. So it's just, it bothers me to no end about how older folks, not me included, get to the situation where we want to click on that next click. And she did it by clicking on something in an email that came to her. I also had
other things I did read what you just stated. That is something I read as well, in that all of a sudden on that email or that space you're looking at, there's a logo that really has nothing to do with what it's talking about. And you go, oh, what's that? Bang, got you. There's things like that happen.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Have you ever had the experience where you look at something on your phone, but suddenly on Facebook it appears more and more, or you do on something on? I mean, does everybody understand that search engine optimization allows cross-platform preferences to be shared without your knowledge as well as without your approval? So if you search for something on Bing or Google, suddenly it's shared out there as an interest for this phone number or this IP address or so forth, this email. And all of a sudden now you're going to get information. I mean, it's amazing. And the thing that I'm challenged with in the real estate world, how much false information is being shared with, they're stating realtors are having to change. Realtors are no longer allowed to be at the closing, or they're no longer allowed to be during inspection, or I mean, there's so many stated rules or so forth that, what does this really mean something, or what is it? What's the deal? And it's, am I missing something important? What is it? Fear of missing out? You know, it's all of that that's created in a largest purchase a normal person never makes in their lives, which is their home. It is an opportunity to generate more fear. And it just seems like our culture is running more and more on fear instead of facts.
Absolutely.
And that's why the show we're even having a discussion, because why are we running on so much fear?
Well, and again, we get back to that gasoline. The fear is an unmeasured type of situation. You don't know how much fear is in your tank. It's running a vehicle without the gauge to tell us, am I really scared this is happening, or am I going forward making my decision based on the fact that I'm totally fearful of this, and you don't realize that your tank is 100% full of fear, and you think, no, I'm logical, I'm smart, I have this background, I've seen this before. There's no fear here making that decision. So, I had another little clickbait that I had in here of the three that I pulled up. Why did experienced investors stop buying in Austin despite its strong appreciation? Well, this is one of those things that, again, if you factually look at the information, Austin's median price in 2011, guess what the median price was in 2011? This is 15 years ago. $200,000. Now in 2023, a couple of years back here, it went all the way up to $530,000, more than $500,000 from $200,000 12 years earlier. So understanding factual data helps put you in a place, even as an investor, about what you should be targeting in order to buy properties. And this is a good time for investors to be looking at properties. Again, it's always a good time for investors to be looking at properties, but again, you've got markets out there, and Austin is in particular. I kind of like picking on Austin. My daughter's getting married there at the end of May, and she lives there, and she bought a house there just recently. Well, she bought a house, at a decreased price because the fact that the people that were living there had to move away. And perhaps they had paid too much for the house when they bought it back in the 2020 timeframe. So these are all things, again, that looking at the situation, getting as much factual information as possible helps make good house buying decisions for us. And you should be asking nowadays, buyers reps are supposed to be more diligent than ever before in representing you. And if you've got a realtor representing you, they should be bending over backwards to make sure that they've done the research necessary for the house that you're focused on, to give you the complete picture of, are you paying too much? Are you paying the right thing? They can give you factual data that is to the moment about what you should be doing, not what it was 5 years ago.
Very true. Now, a very important question, Tom. Have you been working on your daddy-daughter dance?
Very important question. Believe me, the people I go to therapy for, and all the different types of stuff I've been doing in the pool and all that, just about every time I'm thinking, is this helping me? And Marin has picked out
toes, Tom. No stepping on her toes.
Well, that's a big deal. No stepping on the train and pulling her down by accident.
Yep.
Oh man. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. The
I
big
can see
old long dress.
way through this.
I tell you what,
Hey, make sure they do the dollar dance.
Nervous.
Is that still part of it? Is the dollar dance still part of weddings?
The day
Some weddings,
They should.
they'll probably pay me $1 not to dance with her.
Well, for you, yes.
You not to dance, so.
Well, best of luck, my friend.
Thanks.
That's exciting. Well, I
Great
think
question.
we've covered gist of what we're trying to say here. Clickbait is out there. Clickbait is real. Please double check with somebody in the industry. Double check somebody with you that you trust. Ask your questions right here at welcomehomeradio.net. We'll be glad to get back with you. We're here
Just
to help
be
you get
skeptical.
Huh?
Be skeptical. When you see something, be skeptical. And
Yeah.
go from there.
Don't think this is really somebody talking that said this.
And that little cute puppy wants your money too, by the way, that you clicked on.
Exactly. There's a lot of dangers out there, but especially buying the largest purchase you'll ever make in your life and working with a home, buying real estate, building a life, building equity. We're here to help you and to get you to clear to close. So thank you for your time. Tom, thank you for a great job on clickbait, what it is not, and what's the dangers, what's the fear, that we live our lives on facts, not fear.
And I will say one more thing to address to that. The largest purchase of your life, I thought, was a house, but it's a wedding. There's nobody there's nobody giving me a loan for this puppy, by the way.
I told all mine to go elope. So just and I have 3 daughters.
Ooh.
So,
Wow.
Hey, God bless. Thank you again, Tom. Take care out there. Again, we're here to help you. I'm Blair Thomas.
And I'm Tom Holm.
I'm Jeff Duffy.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Welcome Home Radio production provided by Lunatic Digital. Check the listing of this podcast for the links to our sponsors. And don't forget to like, share, and follow us on social media. Visit welcomehomeradio.net for more information. This was a Lunatic Digital production. Visit lunaticdigital.com for all your digital needs.